guys? Davenator1, 2, and 2. Today's our list video day, and because we got a new set of the Duelist pack coming out this Friday, I figured let's do some of the cool cards in it that I'm actually interested in. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 5 is Silent Magician and her spell card, Silent Burning. I lumped these two together because they go together, they're part of the same deck, and I needed to make room for 5 slots. So let's start with the monster first. And what a monster she is. Woo hoo hoo woo! That's some cardboard. A light level 4 spellcaster with 1,000 attack and defense. She's a little weak, but dat art dough. But what does she do? She cannot be normal summoned or set. She must first be special summoned from your hand by attributing one spellcaster type monster that you have on the field. She cannot be special summoned by other means. She gains 500 attack for every card in your hand, and once per turn during either player's turn, she gets the negate of one spell card, which is really good. She's like a level 4 Hope Harbinger. Also, if she's destroyed by battle or by an effect of your opponent while you control her, you can special summon one of your Silent Magician monsters from your deck or hand, ignoring its summoning conditions, except herself, of course. First off, that negation effect is amazing. She's really neat, and you could probably tech her into any number of decks that have spellcaster monsters, which is amazing because she has this thing with her. Her signature move, Silent Burning, a quick play spell card. During the battle phase, if you control more cards in your hand than your opponent, each player draws until they have 6 cards. You can negate the effect or activation of this card, and you can banish it from the graveyard to add one Silent Magician monster from your deck to your hand. So it's kind of their themes wrote a card as well as just a massive draw power card. Sure, your opponent gets to draw more than you, but you just have to mitigate this by playing it when you maybe have only a difference of 1 card in each other's hands, and then you can make up for the advantage by banishing this from your graveyard to search the card. It's a neat little card, and it'd be fun to see if it sees any play, but predominantly I'm looking forward to the Silent Magician herself. This one's an interesting card, Tribute Burial. It's a normal spell card with a really strange effect, and frankly I don't see anyone talking about this thing, despite the fact it does have kind of a neat effect. First off, you can't special summon for the rest of the turn. They made a point to say that first. Yeah. But what does it do, actually? Once during this turn, you can conduct a tribute summon by tributing a monster from each player's graveyard instead of the field. The monsters that are tribute are banished from the graveyard. If you're playing, I don't know, Dark Magician, or even Blue Eyes White Dragon for that matter, and you're playing against Blue Eyes White Dragon, you would be allowed to normal summon any of your 2 tribute monsters and banish a monster from their graveyard. Dark Magician has a really easy way playing this because it plays a couple of monsters, there isn't very many of them, Dark Magician gets clogged in the hand, and if you banish a Knight's End Sorcerer or Magician's Rod, it's not the end of the world. But if you're banishing their White Spirit Dragon thing, Spirit of White, the effect monster, not the synchro, I don't remember which one is which, you're stopping them from using, what is the name of that card? They changed it. The Gospel card, you know what I'm talking about, that summons the dragon from the grave. And things like that to stop them from actually recurring their monsters. So sure, it gets you a tribute summon off so you can unclog your hand, but it's got that bonus utility of banishing a card from your opponent's graveyard that they might need. Overall, an interesting card, probably not as good as some of the other options we have for alternate ways of slapping down 2 tribute monsters, but it's certainly interesting and I might test it in my Dark Magician deck, so I'll give it a shot. Thousand Eyes Restrict. Now, he's not meta, you know, if you're playing Instant Fusion, you might put him in your extra deck just for the fun of it. He's like a 101, I guess, for 1,000 life points. You would have to do with Norden anyway, so it's an interesting option if you don't want to waste Norden at this point in time. The biggest problem with this card is most of his prints, if not all of his prints if I'm not mistaken, are very old, so a reprint is due and it'll have some updated text if it needs it and things like that, and it'll give younger players or players without as much money a chance to get a hold of a really cool classic card. What does he do? You can target one monster your opponent controls equipped to this card and his stats become that of the equipped monster. So like I said, he's a 101. And no monsters except him can attack, which is really cool if you actually played him legitimately, not with Instant Fusion, because he'll just die at the end of his turn, and Instant Fusion prevents him from attacking, so just no one can attack. Although it's really trolly if you use this thing, suck up their monster, equip him with Wonder Wand, and then use Wonder Wand to send them both to the graveyard and you draw 2 cards. That's a fun little combo. Overall, a cool GOAT format card that really needed a reprint just so we can get some more in circulation. Really cool, and it's low rarity, so everyone will pull it. Alright, probably one of the best cards in the set, although not the one I'm most excited for. Lullaby of Obedience, a really, really strange spell card. When this first came out, everyone was all like, oh my god, it's so broke, this thing's gonna be the end of the game, kind of stuff, but frankly, it'll never see play. Though, in a mirror match, it's a pretty solid side deck card. What does it do? You pay 2k life points in order to activate its effect, which is a little steep, but people play Solemn Warning and that's no big deal, so okay, anyway. You declare one monster card name, your opponent searches for that card in their deck. If they have the card, they reveal one copy of it, and then they get to pick one of the two effects. Either they add it to your hand, or special summon it to your side of the field. That second one's also kind of neat because it does ignore the summoning conditions of the monster, so you don't have to worry about them being like, oh well, it can't be special summoned, so I'm gonna special summon it, and then it just, I don't know, discards or whatever. That was probably Konami's way of getting around any weird, strange rulings with that. Because frankly, what meta cards are like Gate Guardian right now, where they need to be only special summoned by weird effects. Well, she's new, at least. I don't know about meta. But it does have applications outside of a mirror match. If your opponent's playing, let's say, Cosmos, and they have their one copy of Dark Destroyer, it would be kind of annoying for you to use this on Dark Destroyer and steal it out of their deck and either play it to your side of the field, which would allow you to pop one of their cards, or just simply add it to your hand so they can't use it. Again, a really interesting card, and I'd be curious to see what people do with it. It's pretty cool, I like it. And the last card on the list, number 1, is Dark Sanctuary. I love this card, it's so trolly. You can click this button here, or in the description below if you are on mobile, for my deck profile using this card. Shill. But all kidding aside, this card is really cool, and I've been looking forward to this coming out for so long. What does this Semen Demon do? It's a field spell card, which was one of Bakura's signature cards in his duel against Yugioh during the Battle City arc. When that was first played in the anime, it was kind of broken and really, really good, and I was wondering how much of the effect would actually retain if we ever got an actual TCG print of the card. Frankly, they did a pretty good job at porting it at a time when having its almost full effect wouldn't be super broken and actually be playable in kind of more of a casual setting. What does it do? Well, first you gotta know what Destiny Board does. It's a really, really old alternate win condition that's just slightly newer than Exodia. If I'm not mistaken, it might be the second alternate win condition we ever got. In Legacy of Labyrinth of Nightmare? I actually own one of the original first edition ultra rares of this card. I played it like once or twice and actually resolved it and won a duel with my friends in like the backyard when I was like a wee tot. So I've always been looking forward to being able to use that card again, even though it completely loses to Mystical Space Typhoon. Basically what it does is during the end phase of your opponent's turn, you get to play one of these Spirit Message cards, which are just these regular continuous spell cards that can't be played except by the effect of Destiny Board. When they spell out the word final and they're played in that order, they don't have to be on the field in the right order, just played consecutively in the right order, which was something that I didn't realize when I was a kid. So anytime I would set like on my far left, they'd be like, oh, it's the Destiny Board, MST. Now that I know you could put this thing right in the middle of your Magic Trap Zone like you do everything else and just play them in any position you want, as long as, you know, they're in the right order, that's fine. And when you get all of them on board in the right order, you win the duel. What Dark Sanctuary does is it kind of makes that a little more viable as opposed to the absolute terribleness that it is. Because if any of the messages or Destiny Board are destroyed, they all get destroyed. When Dark Sanctuary is on board, your spirit messages are played as monsters, not as spells. You have the option to still play them as the spells, but playing them in the monster zone is far better. They are unaffected by card effects, so your opponent can't actually get rid of them, at least very unlikely, because they also can't be targeted for attacks. Your opponent can still attack your life points directly because they basically don't count as monsters at all, except they just take up a monster space, so I guess they kinda do, but your opponent can attack around them. But it does have that Ghost of Dark Sanctuary thing that was floating around the entire duel, because when they declare an attack, you get to flip a coin, and if the result is heads, you negate the attack. And the super trolly part is if you do get that heads, your opponent's monster that did attack, use his attack power, cut that in half, and they take that as direct damage. So you burn them if they actually get their attack negated. Which is cool because it does kind of give you an alternate alternate win condition, because if, your Destiny board's a little slow, so you can at least kind of burn them in the meantime, and it also gives you some little bit of self-protection. And because the spirit messages aren't being played as monsters, they don't take up your back row spaces, so you can play tons of traps and defensive things in order to keep your guys safe and it lets you last the 5 turns. The other thing is, Destiny board isn't once per turn, which I'm assuming is because when it was first printed, there was no conceivable way to really resolve it successfully if you had 2 of them on the board, because you can't play all the messages because the second Destiny board is taking up the extra spot. However, if you did have 2, you get to play 2 of the messages at once, which means you get like an extra turn ahead. So now that they are monsters, if you flip multiple Destiny boards, you can win in like 1 or 2 turns. Really trolly. Anyway guys, those are the cool cards that I'm looking forward to in the Duelist pack. Rivals of the Pharaoh, or whatever the hell it's called. I don't freaking know. But anyway guys, let me know in the comments below the cards that you are looking forward to in this set. It's a smaller set, kind of one of those filler things, but it's fun to see what's in here, and it's a great thing for Sangan and things like that we would need reprints for. So it's kind of an interesting thing altogether. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think, and remember guys, if you don't troll the meta, who will? I'll see you guys next time. Run out of resources, then you just smack at them with a giant 3k beat stick over and over and over again until they die. The extra deck's pretty standard, it's just a bunch of rank 4s, because, every once in a while you'll find yourself with usable scales like a 3 and a 5 or something, so you can actually pendulum summon. So you might actually do this once in a blue moon. It's neat to have the option.